Welcome to our continuing series, Explorations in Savagery, with our brother Alok. As always, we have a new format today, interactive. So if you have questions, please address them to either of us, generally to Alok Bhai, and we begin. Today's subject is the old and the new creation. And I have a lot to say on the new creation, so maybe you can begin with the old.
It's basically theme based now, because till now we were doing a continuous line by line reading.
Mm-hmm.
So we have completed book 2, canto 8, and the world of falsehood has ended, darkness has ended, as they say in the Rig Veda. It has, light has cleaven into darkness, and it's all light now. So this is the time when it came to me that probably we can keep it theme based. So it may not be one session on one particular theme.
No.
It can be a few sessions. So the theme was old and the new creation, but this thought came to my mind also that we are all very well familiar with the old creation. But what we need is the new creation. So we'll focus more on that.
Good.
And just to set the ball rolling, people often ask, where is the new creation? What is new about the new creation? Why it has been called new creation? Well, essentially it is new from the point of view of the earth. The supramental creation exists in its own plane, in its own right, with its own beings, energies, laws, if you may use the word law, in a state of utter freedom and infinity. So that creation is a truth creation. It's a creation based on unity and oneness, on true freedom. It's a creation based on love, where everything is centered around the Divine Mother. That's how, he describes in Savitri. Now, if that creation can be brought down here, it will be the radical change which we all have been dreaming of. So it's called new because from the earth's point of view, it is new. At the same time, it's there in earth. That also Sri Aurobindo says. That's why he says it is inevitable in the logic of things. It's buried in the depths of the earth. And one may ask, where is it? Where is it? Well, it's there in our own dreams. Just as I was coming up, Nilisha mentioned something which I was very happy to hear, and I can share it probably. She said, I realized that, I've been born with it. Now, there is a dream we are all born with. Where does the dream come from? Because the so-called realities of worldly life, practical life, outer life, contradict this dream. It may be a dream of an ideal state, dream of perfection, dream where all is beauty and light and love and bliss, but this dream is embedded, like we are programmed to realize this dream. So then what's new about it? Because mankind has labored for this dream, terrestrial perfection. Well, it has labored in many ways, but mostly with the power of mental idealism. And what Sri Aurobindo says is that mental idealism is not enough. It's a veil. It can take you to a point but cannot take you further. Realizing this, people have taken one of the two approaches. One is that the mind has drawn away from earthly reality and, chasing the tail of this dream, entered into some kind of an abstraction where inwardly one feels this perfection. But as far as world is concerned, it doesn't get precipitated.
And as far as the body, it's been neglected.
Certainly not. So the result is that there is an individual state of inner perfection within, but something which there is no clue how to, precipitate it outside. The other day I was watching a video. I am sure people will realize whom I am referring to. The video was about, impact of yoga. An Indian who is an American now. And there was a very relevant question that the interviewer asked him, that do you think yoga is all right for individual, but do you think how will it help the world? And I think it's a very valid question. And we can't just answer it this way, that if lot of individuals become healthy and harmonious, eventually it will change things. That is old story. It has been tried. There have been ideal stages of mankind when people were individually engaged in yoga and realized beautiful things. But still, it doesn't change the world. To change the world, there has to be a world-changing yoga, and for a world-changing yoga, we need the world-changing power, and the world-changing power has to be the origin, source of all things, from where creation has emerged. This is the essential logic.
Now, Sri Aurobindo has brought this down, and Mother has said very clearly, no one had this before. No one had the idea of the supramental on the earth, being implanted in the earth and growing up from the base of the earth. She said also that her body, and she speaks of her body, being universalized.
Yes.
And by, I think she calls it a unique contagion or something like
Yes,
that.
by contagion spreading into the earth.
Yes, yes.
One of
And-
the possibilities. That's
Yes, yes. So also in Savitri, there are a few quotations about the new creation, and I would like to read those. First is from the book of the Divine Mother, Canto 3, The House of the Spirit and the New Creation. As yet, thought only some high spirit stream.
Maybe the page, so some
Page
of us.
330. Page 330.
Yes.
As yet, thought only some high spirit stream, or a vexed illusion in man's toiling mind. A new creation from the old shall rise. A knowledge inarticulate finds speech. Beauty suppressed burst into paradise bloom. Pleasure and pain dive into absolute bliss. A tongueless oracle shall speak at last. The superconscient conscious grow on earth. The eternal's wonders join the dance of time. And as we go along, I have
Yes.
some more also.
Yes. I think few lines below also, if we can read, it's marvelous.
Please read those.
He saw a world that is from a world to be. Look, the change of perspective, because he has already entered into the heart of the Divine Mother,
Yes.
where the new creation lies in the form of a seed state which must manifest upon earth. So he is seeing both. He is seeing this world, this creation, and he is also seeing that which must be brought down here. So this is that, Sri Aurobindo was well conversant, one, with the challenges and the difficulty and the resistance of earth nature. At the same time, he is completely aware of what this new creation is. It's not just a dream for him anymore, but a concrete living reality. There he divined rather than saw or felt, far off upon the rim of consciousness. Transient and frail, this little whirling globe, and on it left like a lost dream's vain mold, a fragile copy of the spirit's shell. These are marvelous lines. His body gathered into mystic sleep, a foreign shape it seemed, a mythic shade. So he is looking at, this world from there, and you can't, where is the body? If somebody would ask someone, where is the body? And there he divined from there that, look, this is the body. And Sri Aurobindo speaks of that how he was living. The body was only a point of support.
Yeah.
And the mother at one place even says that just it's one point among many, because every body was at one level her body.
And she says, we are not the body.
Yes,
The body is in us.
yes, in us. And from there, and they use the body as a means of support.
Yes.
This also answers for those who speak so loosely about, now Sri Aurobindo is not there. Sri Aurobindo at one level is never there, and at another level is always here. I mean, we limit him to the body because we are limited by the body. It's our problem actually, not the problem of the Divine Master.
Now, I would go to the Book of Love,
Yes.
page 408, when Satyavan speaks.
Page 408.
Yes. But now the gold link comes to me with thy feet, and his gold sun has shone on me from thy face. For now another realm draws near with thee, and now diviner voices fill my ear. A strange new world swims to me in thy gaze, approaching like a star from unknown heavens. A cry of spheres comes with thee, and a song of flaming gods. I draw a wealthier breath, and in a fierier march of moments move. Now here, this is interesting because when we looked at Mother, this is what we felt. This is exactly what you felt when you came near. You saw this strange new world swimming to us in her gaze. I mean, that vastness, that love just pouring out on each of us. One will never forget these things. And now Satyavan and Savitri, page 410. And again we have the new world. Thus were they in each other lost a while. Then, drawing back from their long ecstasy's trance, came into a new self and a new world. And if you go to Book 7, the Book of Yoga, Canto 2, page 486, we'll see again all this the Spirit concealed had done in her. A portion of the mighty Mother came into her as into its own human part. Amid the cosmic workings of the gods, it marked her the center of a wide-drawn scheme, dreamed in the passion of her far-seeing spirit to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to light or a new world discover or create.
He speaks of this even in, the secret knowledge, when he describes the world's traveler.
Yes.
And he says that late will the traveler learn whether to a blank port in the unseen he goes, or to discover a new body and mind in the city of God.
Right.
So,
The sailor on the flow of time.
sailor on the flow of time. So, the other part is that this is inevitable. Actually, it's inevitable in the logic of things. If creation has emerged out of the divine, as one line of mystic experience tells us, which some religious experience may contradict because it forever creates a divide. So if creation has emerged out of the divine, then it's inevitable that one day creation is bound to become divine because they're always connected. It must carry the divine within itself. And that is the logic. That's how Sri Aurobindo says that emergence of the supermind is inevitable in the very logic of things.
I think the line is the supramental is a
truth.
thing decreed and is in the very nature of things inevitable.
So on page 99 we see this when he describes this whole world stair, the ladder of consciousness, and how it is the Divine Mother who has successively, by a kind of process of self-concentration, entered into a state of utter self-forgetfulness. From there she recovers herself, and each recovery marks the one more step in creation. So the last two lines on page 99, our earth is a fragment and a residue. Her power is packed with the stuff of greater worlds and steeped in their color lusters, dimmed by her drowse. An atavism of higher births is hers. Page 100. We are top two lines. So even this earth, which we make a distinction, this earth and the other worlds, but even this earth has a luminous counterpart, and the mother describes this in one of the experiences in prayers and meditation of earth fusing with the Supreme. And when she wrote to Sri Aurobindo, she said this is a true experience of earth uniting with the Supreme, but many of the modern day mystics would not even accept this possibility. So there is a true earth, a luminous earth, which as a conscious being who has taken this plunge and become this material world that we know of. Her sleep is stirred by their buried memories, and that's why everybody who takes birth upon earth carries this dream. This dream is implanted in earth, and therefore the very fact we assume a human body, we start seeking for perfection, for an ideal state. The gods don't care about it. If you see some of the gods, they're I don't know whether they have to pay taxes or whether there is a law for them or not, whether they are lawsuits, but they are happy in their own typal state.
Not interested.
Not interested. There's no evolution. There's no dream. Such a life. No struggle. No dream. But here there is the struggle and the anguish and the dream, the memories.
And what you say about the earth was a line in a letter that has always moved me from Sri Aurobindo to Dilip Kumar Roy. Sorry. He says, the earth is a conscious being, and the world is only the form it takes to manifest.
Yes. He speaks of that in one of the passages way earlier, and we'll come to that after we just finish these few lines. We were on page 100. I'll just quickly finish these lines and then we'll come to that. That's a very wonderful passage. Recalling the lost spheres from which they came, from which they fell. Unsatisfied forces in her bosom move. They are partners of her greater growing fate. So sometimes it's not good to be satisfied with our present condition because we are seekers after immortality, after bliss. And that's why you see something very interesting which I find about human beings. Among the many characteristics of human beings, one of them is that human beings right from the beginning have been nomads. They've been wandering from Africa, from Asia, from Far East, from Far West. They've just been wandering. And even when they have settled, they go further. They seek colonies. And now again, of course, they keep on moving from one place to another because they're seeking for something, it's the promised land,
In fact, in Ketu's Wednesday talks, The Ideal of Human Unity, he speaks again and again about this nomadic man who changes things.
Yes.
Not the state, but the individual.
Yes. Because by its very nature, man is never satisfied with wherever he is, whatever he is moved by some kind of a dream. Of course, he may think initially that is the place, this is the situation, this circumstance, but actually the dream is within him. And if he can really discover it and means to fulfill it, he will build perfection.
Like that story Sat Prem tells about the fellow going all around asking, have you found God? Have you found God? And then finally he realizes that, it's here.
Oh, there is a wonderful little anecdote of mother in this. There is a story of Sri Ramakrishna also, where a man with a lamp goes to every house and says, "Do you have fire? Do you have fire?" Till somebody says, "Fool, you have the fire with you. You are looking for fire." But mother's story is very interesting, and the lady who experienced it told me herself. She said, she after finishing her studies here, she stayed in the ashram for a couple of years. Then usual pulls and pushes of the world on one side and the inability to understand the complex dynamics of ashram life on the other hand. She wanted to go out. She decided, I want to go out. So when she went for blessings to the mother asked her to wait. Okay. So everybody has come and gone past, then mother calls her. She says, mother picked up a rose, pulled my hand towards her, and then putting the rose on her hand, she said, "You will go round and round and round and round and round the world and you will come back here." And she put that rose very forcefully in her hand. He says, "My God, this is what happened to me." Where all she didn't go. She says, but I could never really be fully settled that this is my place, and eventually, came back here. Because that's the dream, we carry. Unsatisfied forces in a bosom move. They are partners of her greater growing fate and her return to immortality. They consent to share her doom of birth and death. Because the moment we take a human body, material body in fact, it is subject to decay. So what are these forces? These are godlike beings. Beings who are immortal in their own right. Yet they enter into the earth play. They know it will be for a while till there is the inevitable transformation, but they fill this dream inside earth. And therefore, mortal beings dream of immortality. I mean, this is what the famous question in Mahabharata, what is the most surprising thing? So Yudhishthir says that everybody sees people die, but they believe they are immortal. So, illusionists interpret this story in this way that, see, basically Yudhishthir is saying life is an illusion. Look at the reality all around you. Death is the reality and you can't seek immortality here. But there is another way to look at the story. The non-dualist or, people who believe in the Leela of the divine, they will find this meaning that he's saying, look, despite death all around, the aspiration for immortality never dies in man. Because it's not this ultimately which has a greater hold. It is this dream that has a greater hold. And this we see throughout, even much later when death shows Savitri, look here, these philosophies, these cults, these sects, they all dreamed of high things. Look where they are in my dark grey shadows. And she says, yes, but you can't fool me because I have seen the new creation.
Yes.
And I know it will be.
Interestingly, even in Christian religions, some of them, they have a saying that death is a door that opens onto life.
Yes, of course. I'm sure, the mysticism, Sri Aurobindo speaks about, when he speaks about the coming of the new age, he says what John of Patmos saw, what Shelley dreamed.
Yes.
Vision and vain imagination deemed.
Beautiful.
The city of delight, the age of gold. So he acknowledges that, look, they had foreseen it, but they knew the time is not right, much water has to flow, mankind has to go through many wars to be prepared to ultimately receive this new creation. And each war, each catastrophe, each calamity actually ends up cleansing something from man's consciousness. I make this observation recently. There was a dengue outbreak. You may wonder, what am I connecting with new creation? But the same principle applies. I would only say that I wish you never see a dengue case, But I have seen in all the patients that I saw, when they had the dengue, their state before and their state after. It's like somebody has come and forcibly cleansed everything. Even the eyes glitter and there is a light. So surprising. The body becomes, as if loads which had drawn an illness inside. Of course, this is a very drastic method. I'm sure this is not the preferred way, but it is there. divine uses, this preparation after the First World War, when Mother saw these people, she said that, look, I have seen those men coming from the front, injured, badly wounded, and I saw that they have paid the price, and they are ready now for the new creation. So the point is that we cannot escape the law of struggle, because it's an evolutionary law. So it's not like new creation comes if I get into my comfort zone. It comes when we rediscover this nomadic instinct in the true way. Come out of the comfort zone and aspire for that which never yet has been. So we see this, page 50, 51. These are very lovely lines, and you spoke about the earth being conscious. So page 50 is somewhere a little below the middle, or rather I'll begin from a little above. An aspiration in the nights profound, seed of a perishing body and half-lit mind. Seed of a perishing body. There is within it the seed. The seed of the divine, the seed of the real idea, which is the psychic embodies. Seed of a perishing body and half-lit mind uplifts its lonely tongue of conscious fire towards an undying light forever lost. Only it hears, soul, echo of its call, the dim reply in man's unknowing heart, and meets, not understanding why it came, or for what reason is the suffering here, God's sanction to the paradox of life and the riddle of the immortal's birth in time. And now come these lines. Along a path of aeons serpentine. See, many times, as the mother says, there have been pralayas, creations which have collapsed into nothingness. In the coiled blackness of a nascent course, the earth goddess toils across the sands of time. So we have a double birth, and I love this, As a child, in the Indian household, we were taught this. Unfortunately, we were not taught how to apply it in everyday life. So on one side, you will see that, the roads are dirty and all this, which is very unfortunate. As a child, the first thing that we learned is that when you get up, first you touch the floor and do this. So, why you do this? So my mom told me this is earth. So we touch the earth and take her blessings. You'll see that Indian artists, when they will go on the stage for performance, they'll touch the stage. Now, why do they do pranam to the stage? Because it's the base. It has to support my dancing. It is agreed, because when you are jumping, others are enjoying, but what happens to the floor? So she accepts to bear your weight. Even the weight of the Titans she accepts. She is a conscious goddess. Next, when you come out, you pray to the sun. So it was very wonderful. And then, of course, after the chores are over, you give to cow, you give to this, you give to that. So it was like the whole creation. Unfortunately, what we see now, it has been left only as a dead ritual. Now, not even as a dead ritual. But if we really lived in that spirit, we would understand that we have a double birth. On one side, earth has formed our matter, and we owe something to it. On the other side, the gods have consented to help us, so we owe something to the gods. On the third level, the great ancestors have striven and struggled to bring down this perfection into the scheme of art. They are no more, they are dead and gone. And we owe something to them. So in the Vedas, you have 3 types of debt that every man owes by the very fact of being born in a body. And these are not debts based on any legal this thing. So one is Bhurin. Anmol, this may be interesting for you. You must be knowing it, of course. So Bhurin. Bhurin is the debt I owe to earth. This is the debt because earth has formed my body. Then you have Pitrarin. Pitrarin is not about father and mother. It's the debt I owe to all the ancestors who before me have gone this way. You see, when I look at the ashram life and the people who have gone, I thanks to Dilip Kumar Roy, thanks to Niruddha, they ask such questions. Today we may say, how foolish. But thanks to them, we have such wonderful answers from Sri Aurobindo. Who are we to judge? People judge, see Dilip Kumar Roy, who knows what one would have been had he not asked the questions and cleared the things at a certain level. He was a representative.
Absolutely.
And so are we all representatives. So, Pitrarin, the ancestors who have gone before us. And then the Devrin, the debt to the gods. Because they help our senses to function, they motivate the mind, life, breath, all of them are a godhead. So how do we pay it? Now in the traditional Veda, there is a ritualistic way. So I have my own understanding about it. You pay the Devrin to the gods by rightly using all the faculties. Speech, breath, eyes, ears. So when we see the auspicious, not only at physical level but psychologically, when we hear the auspicious, when we speak the auspicious, we are paying our debt to the God. They are very happy that look, this fellow is doing a good job. Our effort is not wasted. How do we pay the debt to the ancestors? When we don't pursue a selfish mysticism for my own benefit, but participate in that great effort. That's the story of Bhagirath, where his great-grand sires cannot bring down the Ganges. Finally, Bhagirath brings down the Ganges to redeem his fallen ancestors. Now, it's a very interesting story. We take the name of Bhagirath. We forget that there were two more heroes before him who tried but failed. And for whom he is doing? For the ancestors. Who are these ancestors? Obviously, it will be foolish to believe there are 365 children. They are the energies which are waiting in the subconscious nature. The past of man is crying to us. Help us, help us. And that's why the mother says that when we turn our warring instinct to war within us, then we are actually helping the past. This one way. And then when we bring that light back into the subconscious, illuminate. So we are helping. So this is another kind of debt that I owe. And the third debt, which I owe to the earth goddess. And I think the only way we can repay this debt is by transformation. So this transformation is not for an individual achievement, As long as we are still thinking of, individual yoga, mukti as a goal or individual transformation as a goal, we have not really got it right. It doesn't matter how many lives it takes. This dust which contains the divine must be divinized. And this is the work. So, we have the earth goddess, maybe a few lines and then we can pause. If there is a question or some comment we can take. A being is in her whom she hopes to know. Being with a capital B.
Yes.
The divine dwells here. We don't have to go for the divine somewhere else. Mother at one place tells Pavitrada. She says, Pavitrada once says, I have understood why Sri Aurobindo insisted on this mother. So mother smiles, says, you have understood. I'm slightly, dramatizing it. But the essence is the same. That he says, every time I would try to go up through the plains and I can't find. Where is the Divine Mother? Now I know she is here. Look, it took all the journey. How can you find it? Is it so easy? People speak, so randomly about, I'll find the divine. Try. People have given lives sitting in meditation for years and years. But he makes it easy for us by taking a model body. That's the mystery of the avatar. That also we see later. But for now, a being is in her. We can find here the divine in this very matter. That's the beauty of this matter. A word speaks to her heart she cannot hear. A fate compels whose form she cannot see. In her unconscious orbit, through the void, Out of her mindless depths, she strives to rise. A perilous life her gain, a struggling joy, a thought that can conceive but hardly knows, arises slowly in her and creates the idea, the speech that labels more than it lights, a trembling gladness that is less than bliss, invades from all this beauty that must die. And yet, she does not give up, and that's what I want to read out. Alarmed by the sorrow dragging at her feet, and conscious of the high things not yet won, ever she nurses in her sleepless breast an inward urge that takes from her rest and peace. How can we seek moksha and nirvana and personal gains when she is and the divine, they are laboring together for whose sake? How can I seek any personal selfish goal? And now comes the master line. I think as children of earth, we must embody this.
Yes.
Ignorant, yes, we are ignorant. And weary, yes, we are tired. But look at it. Ignorant and weary and invincible.
Yes.
We refuse to give up. We refuse to give up hope. We continue to hope even while the coffin is being taken to the grave. If somebody could shake the dead body and say, "Do you still hope?" we should say, "Yes, we hope." Out of the grave and the pyre we would rise. She seeks through the soul's war and quivering pain the pure perfection her marred nature needs. This is a supramental perfection. A breath of Godhead on her stone and mire. A faith she craves that can survive defeat. People often say, "Oh, he had so much of faith." But see what happened. Well, what would be faith if things adverse did not happen? That is the sign of faith. If everything went well,
Yes.
then that's hardly faith. So a faith, she craves for that. And among the 4 pillars for the new creation, one of them is faith. Shivindu spoke of 4 pillars for the new creation. A faith she craves. So sometimes people have to go through these challenges because faith has to be purified and taken to its ultimate level. A faith she craves that can survive defeat. The sweetness of a love that knows not death. Bodies can die, but who shall part those who have become one? That's what Sri Aurobindo says at one place, no? Bodies may
Savitri,
perish.
yeah.
In Savitri.
Those who have
Grown one within.
grown one within.
So she seeks that. The radiance of a truth forever sure. A light grows in her. She assumes a voice. Her state she learns to read, and the act she has done, but the one needed truth eludes her grasp. Herself and all of which she is the sign. And last few lines on page, the same page 51 below. What most she needs, what most exceeds her scope.
Yeah.
We have lots and lots of things. But what is it that as children of the earth we really need? Not politics, systems, governance, machinery, equipment, laws. Well, there are plenty of them. Man has played with it. A mind unvisited by illusions gleams. As long as our mind continues to remain subject to illusion, we may erect the most perfect system of governance and it will collapse. A will expressive of soul's deity, not a will which has become a slave to desires. A strength not forced to stumble by its speed, that's the vital strength. A joy that drags not sorrow as its shade.
Yes.
For these she yearns and feels them destined hers. Heaven's privilege she claims as her own right. And now comes the great assurance. Just is her claim, the all-witnessing gods approve.
Yeah.
So there is nothing wrong in seeking these things. To seek for a love that survives death and defeat. People will often say that, oh, this is not yoga. Yes, it is yoga. To seek for a knowledge which is so perfect that there is no chance of error in it.
And a joy that drags
Drag
not
not.
sorrow.
There is nothing wrong. Look at, the aspiration for a joy which is unmixed bliss, is a valid aspiration. Just is a claim, clear in a greater light than reason knows, than reason owns. Our intuitions are its title deeds. We know it intuitively that yes, we are destined for this. Our souls accept what our blind thoughts refuse. Earth's winged chimeras are truth's steeds in heavens. This is straight also from Puranic mythology. The steed in heaven which can fly, Uchchaishrava. That's how he's called. The heavenly steed. He came out of the churning of the ocean and he was given to Bali, the Titan king. So he is the flying steed. So earth's winged chimeras are truth's steeds in heaven. The impossible, God's sign of things to be.
Yes.
Why? Because when we say it is impossible, that means something in us wants it, seeks it, strives for it. Then we say impossible. The impossibility is in the present arrangement of things because of which we yet cannot achieve. But the possibility is in the seeking and the aspiration within man. So the impossible is God's sign of things to be. So if there is anything we can probably, or we can just,
Any questions?
or any sharing. Yes, Sebastian.
I had a question which is, I often hear these expressions like bringing a supramental down to matter and to the body and also about mortality, but what does it actually mean? The synthesis of yoga starts with a sentence, a constant reverse is the only possibility for immortality. On the other side, I heard about the possibility of...
Very, very good question, very practical question, and I'll just repeat it in brief that you have often heard that of bringing the supramental into the body in matter. But what are the means, the tools? There are two possible ways of doing it. One is bringing it, pulling down, as ignorantly we may try, because yes, supermind is there, it's already there now, and all that we need is to just plug in and pull it. And the mother and Sri Aurobindo clearly several times cautioned people against it.
Absolutely.
So they said you will break down. They insisted on self-giving. Self-giving to whom and to what? Obviously it cannot be done to an abstract force. I can't give myself to the supramental force. So the second method, which Sri Aurobindo and the mother both recommended, is opening to the mother. Now how it works, it's very beautifully given in a commentaries on thoughts and aphorisms. It's there in agenda, as well as you will find it in volume 10, Collected Works of Mother. Maybe I'll mail you the passage later on, where she speaks about love as the power of transformation. And then she says that, it is understandable how it operates when incarnations come. All incarnations are essentially, ultimately, the descent of the divine love. And then she says what they do is they centralize that power within them and distribute it to others based on their need, their preparation, their capacity to receive it. So when Sri Aurobindo spoke about open to the mother, he was actually revealing a very profound, even scientifically logical principle. Though, I hate to put it like this, but it's a fact. What she was doing, supposing I am not ready, so she would see my aspiration, or the aspiration is for bliss, or the supramental creation, or as you said, supramental transmutation of matter. Fine. But she would also see simultaneously where the matter is. It's right now rolling in the dungeon and mud of subconscious nature. So she will take that aspiration and start the preparation process, which may be through life experiences, through actual instructions, through many, many ways. Ultimately, when we are ready, she has kept that gift with her. That now, yes, you can take it. Like there are two kinds of parents. One who just have a lot of things and they just give away to the child who is not ready. So what happens with the child? He just gets thoroughly spoiled. And the gift goes as a waste. The wise ones don't do that. Even the kings would tell their crown prince, you go all around the country and I'll take a test and I'll decide whether you really deserve the crown or not. And when they are ready, they say, yes, you deserve the crown. So we have to go through a period of preparation. How to go about it? We can logically start doing it, that I'll prepare my body, mind and life, and in principle nothing wrong. We can do it by our own efforts. If we believe that that is the path, always this effort will be aided by the grace behind, because she doesn't abandon us. But it is a dangerous path. The other path is I do my effort and dedicate it to the Divine Mother. And then when we are ready, as and when whichever part is getting ready, she would give us what is necessary for this great change. That is the process as I have understood, unless you want to add something or anybody wants to add
Maybe
something.
just to close with 2 lines. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart.
Wonderful. So I think we'll pause here and